Okay, so for this intro, I want to talk to you a little bit about how we are going to create this Mary Jane motif, which will then become part of the Mary Jane Faye vest, which I only made one. You may have seen me post it on my Instagram. I just posted yesterday that I was working on this tutorial, so I'm excited to be recreating this design, and I'm doing it totally off of the photos because I was in a hurry going to a festival and I only had one and I didn't have time to make another one, so I tried to trust that I would be able to do that. So what I will point out is then when you get further out on these rows, it will start kind of not laying flat. However, it's important to note that what I am doing for this piece specifically is I'm using various different types of yarns and different brands of yarns. So there will be a little bit of inconsistency in my gauge because of that. However, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera. What I did notice on this purple row, I was trying to recreate the color palette that I had on my first one as closely as I could, and I didn't have the right color purple in cotton. So this yarn was a little bit thin, not quite as thick as this worsted weight cotton. Like this row here is, I believe, sugar and cream, and then I have a couple rows of dishy cotton yarn. This is some yarn I got from Circulo. They make really nice high quality worsted weight cotton called Natural. And on this row, I was looking for a brown cotton yarn and I didn't have the right color in some of these other yarns I was working with, so I opted to double up on this row here. And on this row, I also doubled up and added in a hand-dyed yarn that was pretty thin. I had to redo this row because I doubled up both. I had enough of this purple yarn to try to double up with just this. I believe this is cotton, silk, and merino yarn I got from an estate sale, but it ended up being a little too thick, so I opted to frog it and try to find something a little bit thinner. So I do like the variegated color added in to it, and this last row that I just did is very similar to the Faye vest pattern that I have been making a lot lately, which you also may have seen me post on my Instagram. It is a design by Forever Wandering, and unfortunately she has taken her store down, and a lot of people have been DMing her and asking for the pattern, and there is a delay in her getting back and responding. So I'm really not sure how to advise you on getting the pattern because it's really not my design to be able to create a tutorial for. So, you know, that's kind of the deal with that. However, I have created variations of her design. I have met her in person. She is very nice. She has a couple kids, and I know she's got her hands full trying to work another job to sustain herself. So I don't think she's working her craft business full-time these days. So please be patient as far as that goes. In the meantime, though, I can share some of my recipe tutorials that I have come up with that are inspired by her design, which I will show you a sample of that as I'm sharing this tutorial with you, so you can kind of have an idea where this idea with the Mary Jane motif, you know, how I came up with this. So basically it is my Mary Jane crop top pattern, which is a written pattern in my Ravelry shop. It's a very similar variation of that. It's also a variation of my Mary Jane poncho. The difference is that I changed the stitch counts in the circle part so that it would work for making it work as a vest design. So the part that is exact to the Mary Jane crop top, and I believe my Mary Jane vest is pretty similar stitch counts as well. I'd have to double check that. However, if you do have my Mary Jane crop top pattern, if you follow the steps on how to make the leaf and how to do the stitch counts around the leaf, that part is the same. And then the next row after that, all these double crochet stitches is where it starts to change. So just keep in mind that I do offer 50% off all my written patterns to all my patrons. There is a patron code. If you are already familiar and have taken advantage of that, that is great. And if you need the coupon code and you can't find it, just let me know and I'll be sure to put the coupon code in the comments section of this video. So anyhow, I was successful in recreating the motif, so I'm going to start another one, and I am going to use this as a reference because I need a visual reference to be able to walk you through how to do this part of it. And then once we get through this part of it, the rest is pretty easy. Okay, so I look forward to sharing this tutorial with you, and if you want to go stash diving and pick out your colors and anticipate, you know, being able to make one of these, I sold it right away. I sold it for $200. So yeah, I think this is definitely something that's fun to make, and I look forward to sharing this recipe tutorial with y'all.